Hello everyone, welcome to my lesson here. Deryck teaches R Programming, Lesson 1. This is a great way to get started if you don't know anything about programming in R or even anything about programming in general. This is the place to start. So let's get moving. The next slide is, if I can just cue the next slide here. There we go. A bit of animation. What is R anyway? R is a scripted programming language for which the primary purpose is calculating statistics and graphs. The fact that R is a language might deter some of you from using it though. A lot of you might be telling yourselves, well, I can't program, therefore I won't be able to use or understand R. But R is actually a very simple, easy program. It's a good way to get started in any sort of programming. There are two main reasons for common people not to fear R. I mean, first of all, the commands that you type, they're executed right away. A lot of other programming languages like C++ and Java require that you type the program separately in like a text editor and then do something called compiling. And also, a lot of these other popular programming languages, C++, Java, you need to align libraries and classes outside of the program and making sure that they're referenced in your program. R, it's just type and go. It's all you need to do. The second reason R is really popular and easy to learn is that the actual R commands are usually simple and intuitive. That means what you type, it'll be in a word that represent exactly what it's meant for. For example, if you want to calculate the mean, you just type MEAN bracket and put the numbers or the sequence inside, close the bracket, and there it'll calculate the mean. The basic building blocks of any R program is called a function. We're going to represent a function in this presentation with this box. So I have a box here on the slide. I've labeled it as function. And a function needs additional parts to perform and create whatever output that you want to get out of your program. And there are three basic parts to any R function. They are arguments, options, and default arguments. You can see that I've added these other three parts to the diagram of the function. You notice that default arguments are inside the box. Default arguments are usually preset. You don't always have to touch them. If you leave them blank, the function will use them. But sometimes the reason that they're in the diagram, and I'm not mentioning them, is sometimes you want to change the default argument to an argument that is to your choosing. Depending on any specific function, it may or may not need all three of these parts. The parts, the arguments, the options, and the default arguments, we can also call them objects. So you can see there's in this diagram, there's one function, and everything else is an object. Now, when a function has all its required objects, it will produce a result. So in the diagram, the box is the function, and the arguments, options, default arguments, and also the result. They're all these other four parts usually referred to as objects. One function, four objects. So how can we use functions and objects in R to perform a task? So let's choose an example. Let's, for example, we want to create a sequence of numbers using R, a sequence from 1 to 10, and we want there to be 10 individual numbers in the sequence. How do we represent that in our snazzy, so simple diagram? There is a single function R that we'll use to create the sequence that we want. And the name of the sequence, the name of the function, is called seq. So we can represent it in our visual here. So you can see in the visual I drew function equals seq. There are two arguments that go into the function. The start number, which is 1, the end number, which is 10, and then the length, which is 10. The length out, I should say. So the length out represents the number of individual values in the sequence. There are no default arguments, and the result is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's open R and get started. Let's get our hands dirty. So I've already downloaded R from the R project website. Here it is. And we want to use sequence. So the function starts out seq, and then I open the bracket. The start number is 1. The ending number is 10. And then the option is the number of numbers. So that option is called, just 1 minute, length out. Length, oops, I need a comma here, and then I type in length dot out. And this equals 10. If I press enter, I'll get a result. So I have a warning here. I got my sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Warning message. Sequence default. Each argument length out will be disregarded. That's interesting. I think what that means is that I've actually entered, I got a little syntax error when I typed in length out. So I'm not going to solve this problem now. Oh, I see where I went wrong. I typed length wrong. I made a spelling boo-boo. So let's try that again. 1, comma 10, comma length dot out equals 10. There. So there you go. You've seen how easy it is to type in one command and get a result. And you see what happens when somebody enters in a syntax error, does a spelling mistake. The error messages that come out are very readable, they're very interpretable, very simple language. Let's talk about some other things and get our hands even more dirty with SAS. What we want to do is we want to do some basic assignments. The other thing about R, I should say, I said SAS by accident. We're programming in R today. Is how to assign variables. Because in other programming languages, you will assign variables. You'd have to define the variables using like a dimension statement or a dim statement. In R, you don't have to do any of that. Depending on what sort of value you assign the variable, it will automatically determine whether it's a number or whether it's a character or a string. So let's do that. The most common way of assigning a variable is to use the lowercase and dash, which you can see it looks like an arrow. So I'm going to assign the letter A the number 7. So I've assigned A. A is equal to 7 in memory. If I want to bring that value back out, all I do is type A, and it'll tell me that there's one value in there and it's equal to 7. Now I can assign variables using the other arrow, which has a dash and another sort of lower uppercase symbol. So B dash less than, let's use 8. Oops. Error in A. Oh, I guess I can't do that. I thought that I could. You can only assign variables in one direction. Well, that makes sense. B. But now what if I want to put a letter or a text there? I can do that with the arrow. And then I put in a double quote, and put in my name. I'll use large case. Then B, there's my name. Let's try assigning C to my last name. C. What if I want to combine those two pieces? What if I want to have one string with my first last name and a space, and then I want to use a concatenate symbol? Let's first assign D to the space. And then I use a cat statement like this. A, comma, I actually don't want to use A, I want to use B, comma, D, comma, C. There you go, Deryck Ramsay. That's my name. So these variables in memory, they're sitting there. And at any one time, I may have forgotten what's in memory and what isn't. I can look up what is in memory by using the ls or the list command. So it's ls bracket bracket. When I press enter, it just tells me the variable names that are in memory. If I want to have more information, I actually want to know the variables, or should I say the values and the dimensions that are assigned to those variables. I can use ls.str bracket bracket. And there you go. It tells me that I have 4 variables in memory. The first one is a number with assigned the number 7. Second, third, and fourth are strings, which are my first and last name and the space. What if I want to remove one of these values from memory? What I can do is I can use the rm command. So let's remove that space. Spaces aren't very useful. rmd, and then if I go ls.str bracket bracket, you can see that that variable is removed. Hooray! Now, if I want to remove all of the variables out of memory, I can go ls.str, or not ls, I need to remove it, so rm is remove. And then I want to, inside the brackets, I want to list all the variable names. I've already done so with the ls command, so I'm going to type in list, which is an object for the rm command. It's an argument, and equals ls bracket bracket. If I go ls.str bracket bracket, it should return nothing, and it does. If I just type in ls bracket bracket, it'll tell me that there are no variables. Character 0. There's nothing in memory right now. And that's the end of our first lesson. Thank you very much.